Good evening once again and a very warm welcome to Rwanda Television News with me, Gloria Mutesi. Archbishop Antoine Kambanda of Kigali Archdiocese has become the first Rwandan Archbishop to attain the religious title of Cardinal after he emerged among the 13 cardinals named by Pope Francis this Sunday. The cardinal dedication ceremony will take place in Rome on November 28, 2020. Shortly after the news broke, the Archbishop of Kigali, Antoine Kambanda, shared with our colleague Jean-Pierre Kagabo how he had received this news and what it signified on the relationship between the Roman Catholic Church and Rwanda.
First of all, I thank God. It's a surprise for me. Our history is in the hands of God. God is the author and the guide of history, general history and personal history. I never dreamt that one day I can be in this rank of a cardinal, but it's God's plan, God's will that is done. For that matter, I thank the Lord very much, because as the gospel of today says, you should love God with all your heart, with all your life, and with all your wisdom. I love the Lord, and I have consecrated my life to work for God, and I would like to thank His Holiness Pope Francis, who has thought of me and has had confidence in me, and this gives me a chance to work more for God and for the church that also I love, the institution that God established to evangelize and to keep on the good news for salvation. And so it's a great joy and surprise for me. And I will give my contribution as the Lord wants.
It's a good coincidence. It has been now 30 years after your ordination as priest, and your first ever cardinal here we have in Rwanda. What does it mean to the church?
It means a lot for the church in Rwanda, because it's the first time in the history of Rwanda to have a cardinal. Up to now we had the archbishops. For the cardinal is the first time, and in the region we only had a cardinal of Kinshasa, and the neighboring countries in Uganda, the cardinal is emeritus. In Dar es Salaam, the cardinal is emeritus. There is a cardinal of Nairobi. Being a cardinal, it's important for the church, for the local church, because it is trust and opportunity that the local church is given for its voice to be heard, and to give contribution in the efforts of evangelizing, to have a concern and a general vision of the church in the whole world, and to contribute in the efforts of evangelizing the whole world. And that means also the cardinal is among the advisors of the Pope. He's given a church in Rome as part of the councillors of the Bishop of Rome, who is the Pope. The cardinal is among those who can elect the Pope when the Pope dies, or when the Pope retires, as it happened for Pope Benedict the 16th. So all in all, it means a lot for the church in the country, and also for the country and for the region.
Some may think that this is a good sign of good relation between Rwanda and the Roman Catholic Church. What is your take on that?
Yeah, it's also part of it, because a country which is organized, which has security, and facilitates the work of evangelization and the work of the church, and in good relations with the Church and with the Pope, with the Vatican. This is also part of it. But there is another part, which is the spiritual part and the pastoral part. That is the Christians, the faith of the Christians, the work of the Church in evangelization. And I think it is a recognition and appreciation of the pastoral work that we do. Rwanda has suffered a lot in this journey of reconciliation and rebuilding itself. The Church also rebuilding itself. We are very grateful to the Holy Father who recognizes the efforts that we do together, hand in hand also with the state.
Thank you so much and good luck to you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, still on the same note, these are some of the sentiments from a cross-section of Catholics in Rwanda about this news. We received this news with great pleasure as Rwandans and as the Catholic Church in Rwanda, because this is the first time in our country to receive a cardinal. This is of great significance to the faith of many Christians in Rwanda, and it's going to encourage us more to walk in faith and spread the gospel. We are extremely happy. This has shown us that indeed God and Mother Mary have Rwanda at heart. So we should be strong in faith because God is with us. He knows us and He loves us very much. As Mother Mary said in Kibeho, she's with us and loves us. First of all, we welcome this news very gladly as Catholics and the Catholic Church, because not so many countries get cardinals. And it has given us pride as the Rwandan Catholic Church, because it signifies the growth of our church in many ways. And that's why the Pope appreciated Rwanda, and saw that the Rwandan Catholic Church is taking steps and growing. As you know, it's the cardinals that appoint the Pope, and it's from them that a Pope is appointed as well. So it's an incredible thing that we are proud of. Unity and Reconciliation Commission, in collaboration with the Unity Club in Hwara Rumuri, are urging the people to continue to promote the values of Ndumunyarwanda in their families and communities despite the uncertain circumstances due to the COVID-19 pandemic that have halted people from having discussions and dialogue about this program. Rwandans from all walks of life say that the Ndi Umunyarwanda program was a trigger for them to promote unity, reconciliation, and a sense of belonging instead of looking at themselves in the mirror of ethnicity and region. It has helped Rwandans because now there are no divisions. Everyone is Rwandan. There's no Hutu, there's no Tutsi. Rwandans are all Rwandans and they work for themselves. We get along well and there are no Hutus or Tutsis because we are one. Jean-Baptiste Bizimana, the coordinator of the Association Modeste et Innocent, says the public is beginning to understand the program of Ndi Umunyarwanda. He said that while there were still obstacles for the people still living with trauma and living in poor conditions, these are still hindrances to the unity and the reconciliation of Rwandans. You see, at grassroots level, there are still people in poor living conditions, which prolongs the healing, which is why the government is doing what it does to support them. But still, it doesn't take away that there are still some that are not living well, which leads to them not healing completely. So someone that has not healed, getting involved in this program can be hard because they might have to first go through a journey of complete healing. There are even those that don't understand the program, and it requires them to take it gradually. Uwimana Zaverin, the Vice President of the National Commission for Unity and Reconciliation, said that although the coronavirus pandemic disrupted dialogues that were given regarding the Ndumunyarwanda program, The people should continue to uphold the values of promoting Rwanda and discussing it in families and small gatherings. These sentiments are also shared with Honorable Nyirahabineza Valerie, a member of the Unity Club in Hwara Rumuri, who acknowledges that technology will continue to be used to educate the public and that in this program, speaking the truth is important in healing wounds. It's not the dialogues that stopped. It's all the national programs that bring people together that came to a standstill because of the COVID-19 pandemic. What we are doing is to go through various media outlets where people can meet and have discussions about the Ndi Umunyarwanda program. But we also encourage Rwandans to talk about it in their own families. We have taken steps to use technology. Speaking the truth is the only way for people to heal from the wounds of the past. What we would ask the people is that they continue to remain united. There are many platforms in each district. Let's use these platforms to strengthen unity and reconciliation. A study in 2015 about the Ndi Umunyarwanda program, especially on the dialogues carried out, found that the program yielded a 68% rate of unity and reconciliation because it had not yet reached the majority of the people. At the same time, the Rwanda Reconciliation Barometer 2015 on Unity and Reconciliation Survey was at 92.5% in 2015, and another study is being conducted to show how Rwandans have been living together for the last 5 years and will be published during this year. After realizing just how much potential electricity has when it comes to transforming the lives of people in the entire communities, local residents in different parts of the country with single-phase energy supplies only able to provide lighting have been asking that they be upgraded so that they can use the electricity to power machinery and develop faster. Top officials in the Ministry of Infrastructure have given assurances that the operation to completely upgrade the single-phase system that began in Nyagatare district of the Eastern Province will continue in all other parts of the country, and this limited form of energy distribution will soon be a thing of the past as the country increases its potential to produce more energy. Key energy projects that will help attain this goal include the Hakan Pit plant that will produce 80 megawatts and should be completed at the end of the year. There are also the Rusumo, Shema, Nyabarongo 2 and Rusizi 3 hydroelectric dams that will provide 26.7, 56, 43.5 and 49 megawatts respectively. Former child soldiers who once fought for the FLN terrorist group have asked that all who played a role in their plight be held accountable. As stationary reports, figures from the Rwanda Demobilization and Reintegration Commission indicate that 296 former child soldiers have been repatriated to the country since 2009.
For many years now, the Mutobo Demobilization and Reintegration Center in Musanze district has been the place many former fighters and other civilians who were being held hostage by terrorist groups first arrive at on their journey to be reunited with other Rwandans here in the country. Some of those at the camp are minors and they have very sad stories to tell about their time in the forests of the eastern DRC. They forced me into the military when I was 15, and after various training sessions I was taken to a general to serve him. His name was Shemeki. I joined the FLN military when I was 15, and we were trained in various military disciplines, including how to use the Kalashnikov assault rifle.
The order went out that all girls 15 and above should join the military, and so I went with the rest. They promised that we would get ranks after we made it to Rwanda. We, the girls, cooked for the young men who were fighting the battles we could not. When it was time to move base, we became porters. We lived in a life filled with flying bullets, and I would sometimes reflect on how I did not know of my parents' fate and how back in Rwanda none of my family members would ever know of my fate, and it would make me very sad.
We found 85 minors at the Mutobo Demobilization and Reintegration Center, 56% of them girls, and these had been trained to spy, supposed to enter the country and disguise themselves as domestic workers while relaying information. Despite being just children, they were still aware of the attacks the FLN was carrying out in Rwanda. They would send reinforcements and we would be left behind to guard the civilians. We knew of the people who were going to Nyungwe. They would choose young, able-bodied men and the commanders who would lead them and then send them off. I spoke to my comrade who was in Nyungwe and he told me not to come back to Rwanda, claiming everybody here had been killed. He said they were in the Nyungwe forest attacking Rwanda and trying to get something to eat.
The
RDF captured many of them, and we saw pictures of them on WhatsApp, those who had been captured, and even recognized some of them, people like Tumusifiwe.
We would hear that we were working with that man who was living abroad but had never met him. They said his name is Rusesabagina, that he was involved in the war.
As a former child soldier taken into the military by people like Rusesabagina, I can tell them that they need to come back and ask for forgiveness so that they can live with everybody else in peace.
Officials at the Rwanda Demobilization and Reintegration Commission have noted that the miners were subjected to horrific crimes during their time with a terrorist group.
They carried heavy weapons and were sent on errands to buy ammunition like bullets. Obviously, subjecting a child to such things is ruining their mental health. To make matters worse, they were raped. Even when the sex was consensual, the circumstances played a major factor in them feeling they had no choice but to go with it. Many were turned into the wives of the men that recruited them. While rape is usually understood to mean the victim is female, boys were also being raped, and they've even talked about here, traumatized because what they were forced to endure.
Former officials in such terrorist groups say there is no question about who needs to answer for the recruitment of such children into armed groups. If Rusesabagina were to be asked to answer for the recruitment of child soldiers, it would not be unjust because his involvement with the people who were using those child soldiers is enough. You cannot collaborate with people if you are not on the same page concerning key matters. That is my view on the issue. The way the recruitment went, at first adults were being brought in, but with time it became harder and harder to get them. Seeing that the Congolese were unable to join our forces, they turned to recruiting minors, and that is how they got there. The fact is, Rusesabagina is accused of involvement in the recruitment of those child soldiers, and law exists for that sort of thing, so he cannot avoid it, like I pointed out earlier. As for the operations of the military wing, and his involvement, the truth is all four parties in the coalition were united by the FLN military group. Therefore, it did not matter what group you belonged to in the coalition, you were involved with the FLN. At the demobilization and reintegration camp, the children have found a chance at a life they thought they would never have, happy enough to play games and dance in their free time and study different things that include reading and writing, as well as picking up skills like tailoring. For them, the future looks bright now.
The fact that Rusesabagina and the youth who were captured have not been killed says a lot about Rwanda. The country also welcomed us, gave us food and shelter, clothes, and even body lotion. We lack nothing. Rwandans have a good spirit in them and should continue like this with God's blessing and our leader Paul Kagame.
bose bajye bagendana n'Imana hamwe n'umubyeyi wacu Paul Kagame. Nyigera hani Mutobo twaje twikandagiraho.
When we first got here to Mutobo, we were all afraid and wanted to hide, not thinking of ourselves as Rwandans or even people, with the guilt of our former activities heavy on our heart. Officials, however, came to visit us and assured us that we are Rwandans. So now we have calmed down. Figures from the Rwanda Demobilization and Reintegration Commission indicate that 296 former child soldiers have been repatriated to the country since 2009. The 85 that came back towards the end of last year came from the FLN.
Thank you, Serge. Now to bring you up to speed with the latest figures from the Ministry of Health, Rwanda today recorded 6 new people that tested positive for the coronavirus among the 1,282 tests that were conducted today. 24 new people have recovered in the last 24 hours, and the active cases are currently 202. Among the positive cases that were identified today, 5 are from Kigali and 1 from Nyagatare district. Now, following a successful BK Basketball National League closing bubble, Rwanda Basketball Federation now switches the focus on the Afro Basketball qualifiers scheduled to be held at Kigali Arena later next month. Earlier, we spoke to the Vice President of the Rwanda Basketball Federation, Richard Nyirishema, about the lessons learned from the bubble ahead of the major basketball tournaments set to be hosted by Rwanda amidst the COVID-19 crisis and the future of the game in the country. Congratulations, first of all, Richard, on a successful BK Basketball National League completion. The bubble as well. What are some of the major lessons that you learned through this past week?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, it was a totally new experience for us to organize such kind of competition in these conditions of the bubble. But it was really something that we enjoyed, and as far as the organizers are concerned. But it was also a new experience for the fans who could not join or watch the games in the arena. So everyone is learning from it. And,
absolutely. And how was that? How was that playing? How was it for the players, maybe, and for you doing the games without the audience cheering you on?
Yeah, I think it was a different experience for the players, because normally we always say that the players, the fans are like the sixth player in the game. So that sixth player was missing.
Yeah.
But people understood the different conditions and the challenge that we are in, the challenging time we are in. So it's different, but it's still enjoyable. So at the end, all the players were really appreciating, because the first thing was to go back to basketball, to the court, and enjoying the game. So it was different for the fans, but we tried as much as possible to get connected, to connect and broadcast the games through the YouTube channels, through KC2, and we put also a lot of effort in on social media so that we keep the connection between players and the fans.
I can imagine, and also with success comes a bit of challenges here and there. What were some of the challenges that you faced in organizing this and also throughout the week of the games?
Yeah, so the biggest challenge, of course, it was the bubble experience, which is very new, and we had to pass through testing for the whole players and officials and staff. So that was the biggest one. The other one was also the limited time that were given to the teams. After 7 months without touching the ball, we gave only 2 weeks and a half for them to go back to the court. So we were expecting a lot of injuries, but thanks to God, it didn't happen. So the other thing also, the challenge was, I'm talking about now the fans. as they could not join the arena, we were trying to be as innovative as possible so that at least people enjoy it even from their home.
Yeah. Well, judging by the success of the National League bubble, what should we expect from the AfroBasket qualifiers?
Yeah, so having this closing, at least resuming the BK National League was a good test and a challenge for the federation. But what we also took it as a test to see if we are really ready to organize even bigger competition. So we will take all the lessons that we got from this National League competition, and we will try to adapt, especially by involving other key stakeholders, because now we are talking about people coming out from outside of the country. So we need to really be ready, and we have already started, because now we have a local organizing committee that's involving key institutions like the Ministry of Health, the Migration Office, the City of Kigali, RDB, police, and etc. And we have started preparing to make sure to have the safest but still enjoyable conditions of, to offer enjoyable competition for our guests.
Absolutely. And what would you say is the future of Rwandan basketball, say 5 years from now, in terms of talent development?
So I think we are in the right path because we have a totally full, support from the government. So the ball is on our side. We need to try a lot of things, but by bringing basketball in Rwanda or basketball competition, we are first exposing our players to a better competitive competition, and that will also improve their level of game. But we also have make sure that our youth love basketball because they can watch the games, they can have models that they can follow. But we still need also to work on our development of youth talents. And we always need partners and sponsors that will bring the competition, the trainings of our coaches, the infrastructure especially. And as you're asking, in the 5 years we are thinking and we really want to work on it so that we are at least among the 4 best African countries in basketball.
Yeah, Richard Nyirishema, the Vice President of the Rwanda Basketball Federation, thank you so much for speaking to us today.
Thank you.
All the best.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
As always, thank you for your company tonight. Stay well and stay safe. Have a good night and a great week ahead. God bless you and keep you. And until next time, I am Gloria Mutesi.